All right, welcome to another episode of JYR Trades. I am your host, Jesse. And all I can say, guys, is that Friday, April the 17th was another great day to actually learn from the market. Okay, I can tell you that another layer of understanding, in my opinion, has continued to unlock. And through that process, you learn to become more patient. Okay. Once I started with this journey of journaling the trades and understanding market structure, okay, I'm beginning to understand that market structure is not everything. Okay, yes, we have a bias when New York opens, okay, but it is really up to us to actually look at the market and see what it's doing in real time and see what dynamics actually apply when the market is speaking to us. All right, with that said, guys, as always, remember that everything that I post on this content on this channel is for pure educational purposes. Nothing is financial advice, but I will say this: if you want to learn how to trade the proper way, how to trade like the institutions do, using market structure, equilibriums, auction theory, liquidity, then you're in the right place. As always, if you want to join me on my journey, it would mean the world to me if you would hit that subscribe button, hit a like, share if you want, and make a comment. Would love to definitely reply. All right, let's go ahead and get started, guys. So in this session, guys, I'm going to break down a high probability and expansion day on the Nasdaq, explain understanding market structure, liquidity, and range can completely change your entry, because those things make a difference, make a matter in terms of how and when you will enter for New York. One key insight from this trade is that not every setup, guys, requires a deep pullback. We've been seeing some deep pullbacks lately, and I'll show you in a minute why. By analyzing the overnight range and liquidity distribution, I was able to identify that this was a shallow pullback environment, leading to a clean continuation and a high confidence entry. In this video, guys, you're going to learn how to read expansion versus a rotation day. Really simple method of doing that. Why the pullback depth changes based on the overnight range. Okay, how VWAP and liquidity stacking confirm direction. Okay, and finally, guys, is where the true sniper entry actually form. I got to see it this time live, and I gotta tell you, the sniper entry, if you learn to trade like the big institutions, you could have a monstrous, 170 point move today. A 170 point move was done on Friday. Okay, so this isn't just a trade recap, guys. It's a deeper look at how the market builds and releases energy. All right, guys, so yesterday, guys, the market gave me a perfect expansion move. All right, but what's interesting is that it never pulled back deep like most traders expect. Let me show you guys why. All right, guys, so first things first, I need you to understand that overnight we had a relatively large move. You can see that Asia, really small. Really small, 55 points. I hadn't seen that in a while. Okay, but then London decided to move, and it decided to move to the top side, going north, right before New York opened. It did give us a little drop, but overall, we're looking at about 370 points. Okay, that was large. Okay, that was large, and I need you to understand that when we have a move overnight that's over 350 points, our usual pullback on our fib is usually somewhere around negative 12 to negative 25. Okay, that's if we are expected to go north. If we are expected to go south, then our pullback is positive 12, 25. All right, so real quick now, if you're wondering what do you mean on the fib and what do you mean by 12 and negative 12, well, here I have my fib here. My settings are 12, negative 12, 25, negative 25, negative 50, and 50. So it's the opposite. It's a mirror, but somewhere in the middle, in the center, I have a 0. Okay, so the question is, how do I get really the 0 measurements? Okay, or how do I get this fib first of all? Well, it's really simple. I told you guys that this was about 370 points. So what I do is I divide this number by half. So when you look at it, it's about 185 points more or less. Okay, and so what I do is I will get my fib and I will get a measurement, and I said, okay, it's about 185 points. I'll measure 185 points more or less. Okay, and what I'll do is at that point is I'll say, okay, I gotta draw a fib from here to this setup, roughly about 626 on the price. So if I were to do a fib, I get my fib tool. Okay, I do have it under my favorites, and just like that, I would measure, I would look at the numbers here on the price on the right side, and I would say, okay, that's my fib. Now, that's the first part. The second part is, where does the zero go? Okay, yesterday's session, the zero went here. This is a program I built myself called Remitar that basically shows an auction where the fair value price was. In other words, where did buyers and sellers agree this was the fair value price, the fair zero. And so I have to wait for post migration. Once New York opens, once it migrates, and it has migrated, whether it's going up or down, okay, that's where my new zero will go. And so you see right there, here, this is where my zero happened. Once migration happened, okay, this is where I placed my zero. All right, so let's talk about pre-New York, because that's the first thing we gotta ask ourselves. Are we going to open in a expansion or repair possibly, okay, or are we going to maybe open in a rotational mode, right?
Multiple credit cards,
so
like you have
the first thing I'm going to ask myself is, and I'm going to temporarily remove my fib here so that I can show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so the first thing I'm going to ask myself is, where is price relative to New York value? Okay, now New York value, guys, is represented down here. All right, these two white lines. So as you can see, when New York opened, when New York opened, we opened outside of value, okay, and north of it. So right off the bat, that is telling us that we're not in a rotational mode. Okay, we're not going to be opening in a choppy type of way, for example. And the reason why is because we are north and outside of value. Okay, now if you're wondering how I get value, guys, it's really simple. I get the previous New York session, okay, like you see here, and I use my fixed range volume profile. I measure from the beginning of all New York AM through New York PM, and that'll give me my value area high, my value area low, and my PLC. In fact, you can see one of the PLCs is aligned with Asia's PLC here, and that's how I get my other PLCs as well. You can see these red lines. I have my PLCs. Okay, all right, so right off the bat, again, we're looking at, we are outside of value, we are north of it. Okay, and then the question becomes this here. Okay, so we're either going to have either a repair attempt downside, okay, to value area high, or it's going to actually continue to the top side. Now, I will tell you guys, one of the key things that I've been looking at lately is, where is my VWAP? And VWAP is represented by this pink line here. All right, with this dual line on the outside. And if VWAP is going up, guys, and price is going down, that's telling you that even though price is coming down, the value is still going up. So the real face of where price is wanting to go is still up. You may have a temporary pullback, but the reality is that price is going to continue going up eventually, unless we see VWAP start to turn. Okay, so all right, so what are the other things that I wanted to go over on my pre-market structure is, where are my POCs and where are my mids? So we got one POC above the rest, above everything else. Okay, and I gotta tell you, this had more of a stronger pull because of the simple fact that this created most of the range overnight. All right, that's another thing that I took a look at, and I'm like, okay, all right. Now, We have another POC here. We have New York's POC and Asia's POC, and you can remember that Asia didn't have a lot of movement, so it didn't have a lot of strength. So that is telling me that when you see this mid, all right, and this mid below each of its independent, or subsequently they're below each of its like say London's POC is above London's mid, that's telling us that more than likely we're going to see a trap to the south, and then we're going to have price continue after that. But that's not always the case. That's why it's important for us to actually wait and let the market show its hands. Okay, now earlier I talked to you guys about the pullback. Okay, so once price opened, guys, so right now I'm looking at market structure. Price opened up, I say we are going longs. All right, now we have some stack liquidity here. All right, the only problem is that guys, we're not very close to it. If it's going to be a pullback, okay, if it's going to be a pullback, it's got to be a really long pullback. So let me put my fit back here. There we go. There you go. Okay, so no, let me measure this here. So when I look at price where it opened, to try to do a repair, we would have to be 170 points away, not to mention that the stack liquidity is 219 points away. Okay, understand this range right here, we said it was 370 points. That means that our pullback, once we have post migration here, okay, once we have post migration, our pullback on average is going to go maybe 12 to the 25 because of how large the overnight range was. Okay, I'll give you a different example. When it's going to retrace to the negative 62, all right, it is when we have a much smaller range, under 200 points. And excuse me, the other day we had, I think, a range of 170 points. That means that we were under 200 points, and so when it pulled back all the way down to the 62. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, guys, even though we have these magnets here, all right, we have this stack liquidity, the chances of it truly coming down to all the way past the -1 just for liquidity at that point, it's more like a reversal at that point. Okay, it's more like a reversal. Okay, so as I kept looking at price, okay, so let's talk about, okay, what was happening here. By the way, I did put my 120 point box here. All right, Nasdaq usually ranges about 120 points, give or take. It's not always perfect. Okay, once we have migration, I put my 120 point box right here in the center. I have 60 points this way, 60 points that way, and you can see that price, okay, pretty much respected that box before it really decided to really break out. Okay, so going back to the topic, now you will see, guys, we have one POC here, London's POC and London's mid. And what did price do? Remember I said earlier, this looks to me like we are going to have a trap to the downside, and then it's going to eventually move to the top side. What does it do? Decides to pull back to the -25. Okay, now as this price is going down here, all right, and I see that it's decently sized moving. Okay, the candles, not super large displacement, medium size. What I'm asking myself is VWAP going down? Is it beginning to slant down flat, giving me a signal that we're going to start to really come down? No, it does not. So right off the bat, I'm thinking to myself, we're in the longs. Okay, my Remitar program here, my cloud, this is my no trade zone. However, I'll touch right now on something understanding here. Okay, I need you to understand that professional traders understand this move extremely well. I'll show you right now in a moment. So price came down to the -25, came back up, and here it was just doing its thing. It was just testing the waters, came back, touched again, okay, our London mid. Once it came back over here, all right, came and did a final, I guess, probe of 0, that's when the move started kind of happening. Now I will tell you, where did I enter, guys? I entered right around this spot here. Okay, once I saw that we had closed above the POC, we had already pulled back to the negative 25, and VWAP was slanting, and we were beginning to close above our POC, our last remaining barrier. That's when I decided to enter. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you, the sniper entry, guys, was here. This was a sniper entry. All right, this initially to me didn't feel like the sniper entry because I felt that it was gonna come back again. I just didn't, I can't explain it, but in the moment this didn't feel like the sniper entry. Okay, when I saw that we were doing this back and forth and this was coming down a second time into our mid, and it was coming back up, once I saw this candle form hit our positive 12, this was the sniper entry. All right, now I didn't take the perfect entry, guys. I caught the confirm one, and this was the confirm one right here, right around here. Okay, this was the confirm. We had already probed the auction 0 several times. We were beginning to come out of the cloud. VWAP was slanting up. Okay, it was not becoming flat. All right, once we were out of the cloud, okay, with I think 2 candles, I went in on this one, and this was a confirmed one. Okay, did I see some drawdown at some point? Yeah, right here I did. Okay, but I knew at this point this wasn't, you know, a reversal or anything like that. This was just a final attempt for liquidity. All right, it was a final attempt to trick buyers into shorting, and guess what happened after that? Price started moving. Okay, price started moving. Now I will tell you guys, originally I had my take profit going towards the 1, and I gotta say, because I saw that price had been stretched out overnight quite a bit, I didn't feel comfortable targeting the 1. I actually brought my take profit right at the 75. Okay, where was my stop loss, guys? It's always below the cloud. Okay, and I had it right under the negative 25. Okay, so in the end I did catch this move. This was almost a 70-point move here for me. Now the monster move, guys, like I said, from this point on, even from 0 all the way to 1, was a serious move still. 182 points. 182 points right there. Okay, now, and I gotta tell you guys, you know, once New York PM got started, I see my Remitar program, my Remitar version 2, my lines get flat. I always told you guys, usually this is an indication. If price decides to come back, visit, and actually hold below the green line, then we know that we're gonna at least target our middle line, our white middle line here. I didn't take a trade no more after that. I just saw the rotation, okay, right here. VWAP was beginning to kind of flat here. You can see that here. It didn't have the same slants, and you can see clearly it started to just stay, and you know, and price just rotated between those two right here. Now this is New York PM. Okay, it is Friday, guys, and as you know, Friday it's kind of beginning to settle for the weekend, and you know, thankfully, guys, Fridays are tough days, you know, to trade, but I was able to see this move, catch it, and see, and more than anything, be patient with it. All right, so again, guys, what's the lesson of the day? Okay, if I wanted you to learn something, okay, is if our pullback, if our range overnight was over 350 points, which in this case was like 370, then expect a pullback between -12 and -25. Okay, all right. The smaller, the more compressed, the larger the pullback. It's got to find liquidity. Okay, all right. So guys, this is the difference between guessing and understanding structure. Okay, guessing and understanding structure, and that's what I'm working on every single day. You know, when the market would open, I would consistently get excited around here, get nervous, you feel that euphoria here, and as this is building, and you know, because when it builds, it just looks like this when it's happening, right? You see that movement, and it's kind of building little by little and all that. I don't know, I've been seeing it in different layers and beginning to kind of put it together, and all I can say is that this was a great day. A great day to see it, to learn, to be patient. Be patient. Okay. All right, guys. As always, this concludes today's lesson. Hopefully, you took something valuable from it. If you want to continue joining me on my journey, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to hear from some of you guys that are seeing these videos. I know at first it may be a little hard to understand, especially with all this here. But I promise you one thing. If you learn to just look at the markets, to study, and something's going to speak to you, something about the market's going to speak to you, and eventually, with time and effort, it'll start to show you a different lens that you'll start to understand. All right, till next time.